Hey bestsellers, it's Kitty Turner with Daily House Publishing, and welcome to the bestseller list. So today I'm going to talk about the objections that I hear in the month leading up to NaNoWriMo, or National Novel Writing Month. So I am filming this video on Halloween of 2019. So tomorrow NaNoWriMo starts. And if you're not familiar with NaNoWriMo, I will link to their main website in the description below. But essentially, it is a challenge to write a 50,000 word novel in 30 days. So that breaks down to 1,667 words per day. Thousands, tens of thousands of people all over the world rise to this challenge. It's a very exciting time for indie authors. As I prepare for Nano each year, I join the variety of forums and groups that are dedicated to this challenge. And also I often reach out to friends and family asking if they're interested in participating. And I have received the same objections repeatedly. So I wanted to share those with you and also tell you why they really aren't any excuse. There's no reason not to do NaNoWriMo. So let's cover those objections and why those objections really don't matter. Okay, so number one, this is the most common objection I hear every year, and that is that you might not reach the word count goal of 50,000 words. Well, it isn't a big deal if you don't. It feels amazing and extremely satisfying if you are able to rise to the challenge and reach that goal. It is a difficult challenge, but very doable, and many people win the Nano Challenge each year. However, I'm gonna do a little spoiler here. It's not really a big deal if you don't reach it. Essentially, at the end of the contest, you upload your draft. The words are counted, they're not saved, nor is the content looked at all. It's just a word count tool on the site, and if you hit 50,000 words, they could be the same word over and over again, you essentially get a email and a video congratulating you for finishing the challenge. That's it. So if you don't reach that goal, then you still have made a great deal of progress towards your new book, and it is a winning situation. There's no shame, you shouldn't feel guilty about it, and you shouldn't not do the challenge because you think that the goal is too daunting. Okay, so number two, the next most common objection that I hear is that you don't know what to write about. You don't have a project or a flash of inspiration or a long-standing project that you want to turn into a novel or a book. That actually can be a really good thing. I think the power of National Novel Writing Month is developing a really solid writing routine. If you can get in the habit of writing about 1,000 words a day, then your writing career will progress like a rocket. It's really a breakthrough if you can develop that habit, and Nano helps you do that. So if you don't really have like your magnum opus to write, that's great. Write some genre fiction. Take a stab at a cozy mystery. Take a stab at a romance novel. This way, you're developing habits and you're understanding the formula of creating books. So if you're not invested so wholly into it, you can really kind of dissect the structure, the formula behind making a page turner or a book that is just a romping good read. Okay, so the third objection I hear is that you have travel plans, or you are expecting house guests during November. It's a busy holiday time. Now, Nano is done around the world, but it was started in San Francisco, and it is essentially an American contest. That being said, Thanksgiving is celebrated here in America, and a lot of the people in the US have lots of plans during November and heading into December. I'm included with those. But again, if you understand that the stakes are not really that high, you get a certificate and an email at the end of it. The fact that you have some travel plans or house guests and you might miss a few days, again, isn't such a big deal. I hate to see people not have this amazing experience, because they're just really afraid of not being able to finish it. It's great to finish, but if you do have travel plans, then it's no problem. And you can always write on the road as well. Okay, so the fourth objection that I hear is that nano books don't get publishing deals. So this really isn't true. I mean, it is and it isn't. The ratio to books that get deals to books that don't is the same, whether it's a nano book or not a nano book. It's very rare to get a publishing deal. It's in the single digit percentages. So don't let that discourage you. The nano phenomenon has started really the revolution of self-published careers and indie author careers. There's so much support around that. There's also support about going traditional. There's Pitchapolooza, and there's all sorts of resources on how to get an agent or a publishing deal. But because you think that you're not going to get picked up by an agent because it's a nano novel is a myth. It is the same sort of chance that you get whether you wrote a book, the draft of your book in November during Nano or some other time. So the fifth reason I hear is you're not a good writer, or you've never written a book before, so you don't have the experience. And so that's not an excuse, because Nano is the perfect time to start and to develop your skills. It's designed for new authors, and it teaches you through workshops and pep talks through famous authors and all sorts of resources how to become a writer. Ira Glass has a famous quote saying that the first few years that you're creating stuff, that stuff is not going to be very good. And that's going to be true for everyone. Everyone needs to start somewhere. You might not want to hear this, but if you are a novelist in the making, you probably will have a couple or at least one sort of throwaway book. It's going to be your trial book, and you're not going to quite understand how to put it together, how to construct it. And so it will either need to be completely rewritten, or it just may go in a drawer and be a throwaway book. Now, that doesn't always happen, but be aware that for most authors, they do have a couple of throwaways in there before they really develop their craft. So this November is the best time to get started, so no excuse there. And the last excuse that I hear commonly is that your real job may suffer. So you have a full-time job. The Nano Challenge sounds very time intensive and draining on your energy and your mental power. And what I have to say to that is, yes, your real job might suffer, but you are moving towards what you want to be your real job. So if you're a little tired at work, or some projects slip a little bit, it's probably worth it, because I want you to look at where you want to be in 5 years. Do you want writing to be a part of your daily life? Do you want to have published books out there in the world? If so, then yes, there is a transition period and there are some sacrifices to be made. Don't burn yourself out, and let people at work know what you're doing, and they'll in most cases be very supportive. So I'm no different than anyone else. Over October, I've waffled on whether I'm going to do it. I have a lot of work obligations. I do have travel plans. I do have house guests. So many of these things are factoring into my decision. I just know from past years that I'm going to be so glad that I participated, regardless of how far I get. However far I get into my project, I'll be that much closer to a new book. So even if I just make 20,000 words, it's still a win for me. Another thing to note is that sometimes people think that they have to write a novel during National Novel Writing Month. That's not the case. I've written nonfiction books. I've done major rewrites of drafts, earlier drafts from other nanos. So you can do it the way you want it. There's no real structure or enforcement. So a lot of people get nervous about that, feeling like their book is going to be rejected because it's not a novel, or they're not following the rules. That's not the case. No one's following up on you. There's no nano police. So there are really no excuses. I say you should go for it and participate in National Novel Writing Month in 2019. I will link to my group, my Facebook group. We do Nano together. So no pressure in there. It's a really easygoing group, and you can join that, and we can support each other, do some write-ins, and share some resources. Also, don't forget to subscribe. I'm going to be doing lots of other videos on NaNoWriMo during November, all sorts of structure tips and all sorts of techniques to getting your book finished, or just getting it started. All right, so don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.